What is up, traders? What's going on? Let's talk about the market outlook for the week of 126, 2026. So first and foremost, let me go ahead and share my screen here because I want to show you something, okay? Something is shaking up the market, and this is what it is. Trump is threatening to impose a 100% tariff if Canada makes a deal with China. So the escalation is not good. Seems like Canada has some deep trade ties with China. And these are two of our closest economic partners, so it's not a good thing. But Canada is saying, look, we'll stick with the US and Mexico, but Trump's warnings alone are shaking the market up. So Canada makes a deal with China, it will be hit with the 100% tariff against all Canadian goods, products coming in the United States. That is pretty crazy, okay? Now, it seems like Trump is just going full ballistic mode here. He's just like, if anyone does this and anyone does anything I don't like, you're gonna get squashed. And you know what? I actually like that Trump is doing that. I love that he's pushing up the markets. But let's go ahead and talk about what's happening in the stock market here. Okay, so first thing you gotta understand is that volatility is gonna be up. There's probably gonna be more buying in gold and bonds and silver. I'm really looking at silver. I'm really looking at gold. The commodity prices are gonna jump if tariffs threaten supply chains, and export sensitive stocks could underperform, like automakers, lumber, steel. These stocks are probably not going to do good because of the threat of what's going on. Just big thing I'm looking at though is iShares Silver looking absolutely insane. They are up to $95 already. Gold looking up too. I should have put calls on these. I probably will this week. So looking to do that. Markets often fear the uncertainty. Okay, they price fear in before facts. So we're going to see a knee-jerk reaction next week. We're also going to be seeing a lot of earnings from companies. We got Meta having earnings. We have Google having earnings. We have a lot of big companies that are going to be having earnings. Not Google, sorry. Microsoft and Tesla. Those are having earnings as well. Broadcom having earnings as well. So it's going to be pretty cool to see all that stuff. And we're going to see some major volatility. Big thing you got to understand is my tech setups are going to look really good. If the trade fear cools, defense infrastructure are good in an uncertain environment, and gold, silver, treasures, low volatility ETFs are going to probably climb. The weaknesses, once again, bearish stocks, exporters tied to Canada and China, transportation and industrial stocks related to supply chain, and small caps if they have a lot of risk. You know, that risk appetite can tighten and it can cause them to fall as well. With that being said, let's look at our Mag 7. Let's look at our outlook for the big sweethearts of America. So first and foremost, we're going to look at NVIDIA. I expected NVIDIA to have a move with this opening to trade in China, but it looked like it didn't do it. NVIDIA has not been moving. I think NVIDIA will still continue to stay under 190. We need to see more results and more actual data for NVIDIA to come in. Next, we're going to talk about Amazon. Looking like Amazon is going to recover here a little bit. I'm going to go to the single chart. Amazon's one of those stocks that if they don't have a lot of support with their AWS, if they have anything bad come out with AWS, they're not going to move as much. But they are slowly climbing. They're a big player in the market. I think that Amazon has gone up to 248. I think it's going to go back to retest 248, 250. And the thing is, Amazon, I think, will start to push up even higher than that. Amazon has these massive fall offs. So Amazon goes up, climbs up, and it has a little bit of like, struggle, like 2 or 3 blips, and then it hits this peak, drops down. And here we got 1, 2, 3, 4 little struggles, hits this peak, drops down. 1, 2, 3, 4 little struggles, hits this peak, drops back down. 1, 2, maybe a couple more tests up and then come down. But I think Amazon eventually will start to push up past the 270 mark and start to hit 300. I think this next peak for Amazon could be even higher than what you would expect. I think estimators are going to say it's 275. I think it's going to be at 300. Okay, exponentially with the numbers, it makes a lot of sense. So I think Amazon's going to start to take a couple more weeks. It looks like by this timeline, it may take probably another month. And then Amazon is going to start to push up again aggressively. We're in a position right now with Amazon where it's starting to push up again. And I do think that it will start to climb up, get a little higher, but it will probably have another fall off again. There is a market contraction that I'm looking for to happen. So we'll see what happens. Microsoft is recovering pretty nice. I think Microsoft has a lot of bullish momentum. Microsoft looking at 466 extended hours. So looking pretty good, you know. I like how Microsoft is looking really, really nice in the extended hours. We can see here we have a huge push up consolidation here, probably some consolidation, another push up back to retest 470, 480. I'm very bullish on Microsoft. Think it'll do well. Tesla depends on earnings. I think we'll have a little bit of consolidation before earnings. Tesla's been moving up quite a bit. You know, it's moving up aggressively for pre-earnings. I think Tesla could spike and try to retest 500 very soon. If it does beat earnings and does well, we're going to see this stuff just absolutely just push up. Google will retest highs probably this week, 340 incoming, 350 incoming to retest. Meta. I think Meta is a really strong company. I think Meta is moving up. You know, I was talking about how Meta would break 600 before, but to be honest, Meta held, bounced. It went to 5 little something here, and it's just rocketing up. Meta is a big dog company. If they have the right, see, the problem with Meta is that Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know how to communicate ideas very well, in my opinion. He doesn't know how to talk about what's going on with the company. If he does learn this and he does well at communicating what Meta's goals are, that would have been really good. Like the metaverse was a big problem, and because Mark Zuckerberg basically openly went ahead recently and said, hey, like we're done the metaverse, I think that Meta is going to push up. I think it will have a lot of movement. And, you know, we were seeing Meta at a much higher level. It had a massive drop off. But, you know, Microsoft and Meta are both, you know, partnering up. They're both doing really good in a lot of ways. And I think that, you know, Wall Street pretty much remains bullish on Meta. You know, they have a strong ROI in AI. The analyst sentiments are 785 to 905. Big range there because Meta has so much volatility, which is good for trading. I'm going to circle back to Microsoft. Microsoft, I think if Azure does work, it can really, really push up. Copilot is a big player. People don't like Copilot individually, but with the adoption of Copilot with the Office 365 setup and Excel, it's absolutely just a game changer for a lot of people. So I think Microsoft and Meta will start to push up quite a bit. Next, we have Apple. Apple's been taking a beating recently. Apple has been definitely down the dumps. We've seen Apple kind of just drop off a little bit. And, you know, Apple, I think, is gearing for a very high, heavy week. Apple has suffered a lot recently, a little bit of a pullback, but there's a lot of earnings expectations for the holiday quarter. So it's dipped about 9% in the last month. And a lot of people are saying this is the buy the dip opportunity, which could lead to one of the largest revenue climbs in the last 4 years of the company. It's currently sitting at around 248, 247.94 here, looks like. And I think that this can start to push up. I think it'll start to push up and test 281 range. Okay. The iPhone 17 has a strong demand. It did really, really well. Apple has a massive demand for their services and their AI strategic roadmap. Now that they're partnering with Google, I think they're going to be an absolute dominant force where they're partnering with Google. So we're tracking a lot of companies this week. We have January 28th, we have Meta and Microsoft. Thursday, we have Apple earnings as well. So if this works well, it's going to pump up quite a bit. So I think Apple will do absolutely amazing this week. We'll just see how it runs up. Another one I want to talk about is MU. MU has been breaking 400. It ran up to 411. We actually were in calls up until 406. We got out and it dropped back down. I think we're going to keep retesting and staying and consolidate a little bit. What I do want to talk about is silver and gold. Absolutely just off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. Should have gotten the calls. These are pushing up. They're doing really good. Baba, another one. I think Baba will start to pick up again. I think Baba was at 180 earlier the week, 181. We'll start seeing this push up. Baba has been doing really good. They've been climbing up. Big thing I want to say is Baba has really become dominant, especially overseas when it comes to exporting goods. And they're entering a very pivotal phase of their fiscal year. 2025, the stock doubled in value, and they're now focusing on AI infrastructure, which is really, really good. We're around 173 right now. I think it's a moderate buy to a strong buy. I think they've upgraded their analyst estimates. Goldman Sachs is a big buy for Goldman Sachs, and they know some stuff that we don't. I think that Baba is going to really push up. They have a really good revenue stream too. They're doing about 35 billion a year in revenue, and their expenses are quite good. So they have earnings coming up on February 19th. We have a month, and they're focusing a lot on AI and cloud. And so I think Baba will do very, very, very well. So these are some companies I just wanted to talk about. Now, when we're talking about other stocks, right? Just the Mac. When we're talking about the Mag 7 in general, okay, they're showing a lot of sensitivity to the tariff headlines. Um, I think they'll pull back a little bit, but push up. If the tensions escalate, we could see big tech looking like more risk on assets, so they can start to fall off. It could be a little choppy, but I do think with earnings coming up this week, we can see a lot of push. There's still a lot of fear with that kind of stuff. Now, the individual names, okay? There's a lot of small individual names that I'm looking at. I'm going to show you my crosshairs here. First thing I'm looking at Lemonade to go back down and to consolidate and probably stabilize around here. I'm definitely looking at USAR to push up quite a bit. USAR is a favorite of mine. We are trading at 25, 27 right now. This has been pushing up. I think we'll start to retest 30. Johnson & Johnson, I'm surprised this came up to 220 already, but I think this will go back down, so a bearish setup there. ASTS, I think this will go to 130. Carvana, I think Carvana is going to push up more, doing really good. Irene, these data center stocks are pretty good. Testing that 56 again. We're going to see if it breaks. If it breaks, I think we could see a run up to 60, 65 and go back up to higher levels. Got to understand that Irene was trading at 75 at one point, 76 here, doing very, very good and had a massive fall off. Now we're climbing back up slowly. We need to break this level. If we break this level, we have all the space right here to kind of make some profit. CoreWeave, I think we'll see a massive run up from CoreWeave. We've had a lot of run down, but I think we can start to retest. And CoreWeave is starting to look like it's going to break out. So calls for probably this week or the next, maybe 3 weeks to kind of push it up. Albemarle Corp, killing it. Absolutely just killing it right now. You know, stocks like this they're big, right? They're big companies, but people don't really realize the strength in certain companies like this. So I'm looking for this to just continuously climb up. It's the largest lithium producer. And with all the AI going around, we need that kind of power, okay? Lithium is looking to be a very bullish thing to get into. I think the current stock price will start to push to about 205. Once it breaks 202, once it breaks 200, it's going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be absolutely insane. Asia, the spot prices for lithium have gone up to $17 a kilogram, and they've significantly improved Albemarle's contract negotiation and leverage in 2026. They have a lot of cost cutting. They have cut a lot of costs in this company. Their CEO, Mr. Masters, Kent Masters, he cut down a lot of capital expenditures by 65% down to $600 million and sold off a lot of assets to protect the balance sheets. And that's really good. That looks good for the financials. They have massive energy storage systems as well. EV growth in general has normalized, but the demand for utility scale batteries is still growing faster and faster and faster. So lithium is very in right now. So this could start to really pop off. It's looking like it's starting to get more vertical here. I think it'll start to get a really high vertical and start to stabilize a little bit after that. Okalo looks like it's going back down. Looks like it's going to be going back down. We might see a bounce off here at this 70 level. The 70 level looks like a safe bounce, but I wouldn't really touch it. I would let this kind of tell me what it's doing before I, get involved. Now, Kratos Defense, okay? This one is going to be a favorite. I think this one is dropping off a little bit here, but I think it'll start to pick back up. I think it'll have a massive bounce. Just my theory here, okay? Calling it out right now. I think it's a strong buy. I think it's very undervalued right now. The Valkyrie drone is become a record-breaking program for the Marines, and it's shifting from a prototype to a mass-produced sheet. So once it look, stocks are not the same as company revenue. So once it starts showing up, it's going to be ridiculous. The hypersonics, okay? Let's talk about that. They made a 55,000 square foot hypersonic facility in Maryland. Okay, that's actually where I'm from, to support their $1.4 billion Mach TB contract. They're putting a lot of money here, a lot of investors here. We've noticed a lot of price swings with this, but to be honest, it's really from the ARK investor sell-off with Cathie Woods selling some stuff off. There's some valuation concerns, but I think Kratos is going to have a nice bounce. Their expected revenue is around 1.3 billion. They're doing really good. I think they'll pop off here with I think they'll have a nice support here at about 100. And we got to wait for that, okay? So the support looking at 104 level, 100 level right here, right around that level, the 98, 102, or 104, these three levels, I think we'll see a bounce from Kratos. Next thing I want to talk about is Hood. Hood is looking like it's going to be good. I think Robinhood is at a very low point, you know? Um, I think that Robinhood was a very powerful stock. We were looking at 140 here for Hood not that long ago, okay? We were at 140 here. And then it had this massive drop off and more of a continued drop off. But, you know, with America trying to be crypto's capital, I think it's going to be something that really pushes up. You know, it's not dependent on the meme anymore. It's a big stock now. I think that with crypto expansion, it's going to be absolutely insane. With the gold super cycle stuff, not gold in general, but their gold memberships, they have hit an all-time high with 3.5 million members. They have a 3% IRA match. The gold card is 3% cash back. I don't know what the fuck and how the fuck they're doing it. It's 3%. I use a Robinhood Gold card. So Robinhood looks really good to me, okay? And I think that we'll have a little bit of a support here at about 105. If we can push up from this base, it's going to start to break that 110 mark, start to push up to 120, 130, and maybe even after that. So a little bit of an outlook there. Netflix getting absolutely pummeled. Now, Netflix is doing very good in terms of financials. Netflix just doesn't have a lot of guidance or a lot of big roadmaps. Netflix is kind of just staying in this lane. And I think that Netflix could start to see a breakout if it continues to get beaten down. Now, a lot of people don't understand that Netflix is a big dog stock. They don't really realize that this is not some small little $80 stock, okay? Netflix is actually quite a large company. You know, they do a lot of revenue. They have a massive advertising program. They have crazy amount of subscriptions. They're still the big dog when it comes to streaming services. And I'm gonna tell you something, okay? If we keep going lower on Netflix, I would love for us to go back down to 80 again. It's gonna bounce. We had a great bounce up from 80. The ad revenue doubled, okay? The ad revenue is expected to double in 2026. We have 190 million users on their ad tier, okay? So Netflix is very good. We're starting to have expansion in live sports and events. So I think Netflix is good. They beat earnings, but you know what? They spooked the market for their conservative guidance. They're not trying to do too much. That's the issue, you know? There's a lot of bulls that said that Netflix is being overreacted to. They see $86 where it's at right now as a smart entry, and they project a double-digit run-up by the end of the year, especially with the Warner Bros. Deal. There's also skeptics. Morningstar talks a lot of shit on Netflix. I don't know if you guys subscribe to that, but they caution the easy growth. They say that it's fairly valued at $77 to $80. And so, you know, this is kind of like a 50-50 thing. I would not mess with it too much. If you're feeling froggy, definitely jump and go into Netflix, but I would be a little careful. Another company I think that will really pop off and do very well is Boeing. Who's going to make the planes? Honestly, at this point, who is making them? Boeing is just a monster, okay? And they're constantly climbing up. And the reality is Boeing is still like a big dog company. They're not growing as fast. They're showing signs of slow growth, but they're showing consistent growth. So I think this is good for shares. I think it's a strong buy. I think that Boeing can start pushing up to 263. I know it's not far away, 263. I think they have a massive production of their 737s. They were capped at $38 planes per month, but the FAA approved them to hike it up to $42. Or sorry, not $42, 42 planes per month in 2025. Their goal is to get to 50 to 60 by the end of 2026. They have a lot of dominance in the plane structure too. Like, dude, who do you know that makes planes like Boeing? Okay. They had a record sales year for their 787 Dreamliner to all the airplane company, and their defense segment, their space security segment is starting to become profitable. And that is something that's very good for Boeing. So they have a lot of technology being integrated as well with the Spirit Aerosystems. I think Boeing is going to start to see a massive jump. They're going to start pushing up. And if their revenue and their earnings do well, they can start really growing. So a little bit of an market outlook for you guys. Hope this was helpful. I would love to see you guys in the group. Link down below. Losing my voice here. Sorry, still in voice loss mode. Gonna take some rest today, but I just want to jump on here, give you guys a video. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much for your time and for taking a little bit of your day, spending it here with me. Till next time, peace.